Now, the next story is, as I mentioned, the Hungarian parliament, which is controlled by Viktor Orban's party called Fidesz. Yeah, I just looked up how to pronounce it to make sure I was pronouncing it right. It's pronounced Fidesz. Fidesz. The Hungarian parliament, which is controlled by them, voted to cancel all elections, suspend its own ability to legislate, and gave Prime Minister Orban the right to rule by decree indefinitely.
I don't even believe this. This is what the Nazis believe.
These laws were passed under the pretext that they'd be used to fight coronavirus.
The real question is, can you fight?
But obviously that's very simplistic and not really what's happening.
What's the buzz? Tell me what's happening.
Instead, this decree, this new policy of giving Orban infinite power was used to pass long-contested legislature about building a Budapest museum quarter.
You any kind of artist? Anybody know who you are?
Many people oppose the district for several reasons. One, they would combine two Hungarian art museums into one. People see this as a purely economic and tourist-minded plan that doesn't take the art into consideration. It's just mashing two different museums together and being like, oh, they belong together, when in fact they were never curated to be together. It doesn't really make sense in an artistic sense for them to be in the same museum. They weren't designed to ever be part of the same museum, so people are objecting on artistic grounds like that.
An artist respects the silence. It serves as the foundation of creativity.
Other people see it as a jingoistic gesture that's purely politically motivated. I mean, the first one's politically motivated too, so these overlap. But Viktor Orban's party has stated that they have a, quote, hands-on cultural policy.
You're a culture war warrior.
The Orban administration has reached deep into this. For example, there was a former head of a museum who kind of was forced out indirectly and they were a pretty left-wing person, and they were replaced by a Fidesz member.
There's an idea revolution happening right now.
The Orban administration wants to synthesize art, culture, economics, all these things into the Hungarian state, which I always think is kind of the flagship marker of fascism. That's what Mussolini emphasized. Nothing is outside of the state, and Orban wants Hungarian art to be assimilated within the state apparatus, even more than it already is. And a third reason why people are really opposed to the Budapest Museum Quarter is it would use land from the city park in Budapest, which residents are mostly opposed to because it's a great park, or at least I hear it is. I've never been there, but... And it would require a bunch of, changing, or in order to build this district, they need to skirt, change, or ignore many zoning laws that make the zoning for this quarter completely illegal. So that's one thing they push through. Not too offensive. You can see why there's a creeping element of fascism to it. But keep in mind, this has been a hotly contested issue in Hungary for over 10 years. This isn't just some random thing that he decided to do.
Just do it!
If you're hearing this and you're American or at least non-Hungarian, you might be like, this seems like small potatoes, but to Hungary it really isn't. This was a big deal for them.
This is the deal.
Or a big deal for Fidesz, I should say, and then the people who opposed it, it was a big deal because they didn't want it. And then some of the other things that Orban has done with this decree: for one, he prohibited transgender people from legally changing their sex, which, I don't know if you heard, but a motorcycle just drove past it. It was really loud. But prohibiting transgender people from legally changing their sex, obviously that has nothing to do with coronavirus, and it just, why? Like, honestly, why? What's the point?
Why are you running? Why are you running?
Why is that a policy? I don't get it.
What are you talking about? What are you talking about?
And then he also wants to pass a decree making information about a major Chinese railway system classified so people can't know about it.
Back on the train.
This one seems pretty sketchy to me, but it's a little vague and I couldn't find more information about it, so I'll just leave it at that.
What's the buzz? Tell me what's happening. What's the buzz? Tell me what's happening. What's the